Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zero from TechDragon.info, and today we're back on the test server. Took a look at the changelog for the test server. Really didn't much. They didn't do much to it, but I figured I would show you this. I just logged into server and stage 3 has ended. Your highest rank was this. You received 1,000 wargaming bucks by the looks of it, and all this shit. So 1,000 credits, 5 times. Ooh, additional free bunks, 5 extra bunks, sweet. I got a 1 day of premium, 5 additional experience per battle, some premium fire extinguishers, and 1 garage slot. Slut? Yes, a garage slot. I'm not even gonna comment on that. So, number of earning points, 1. Confirm. Okay, cool. So, that's a thing. Yeah, I have 600 now. I had 500 previously, so that was added. Cool. So, missions has a little 2 next to it. Tactical, something changed in here apparently. T62A, yeah, I think they swapped around what tank is like the tank of the day to do something, you know, whenever the hell they switch these things to what, I don't know. Day, week, year, month, not a clue. Let's take a look here. Do we have... What? No. My Type 62 is my most played tank? Huh. Who knew? Interesting. Anywho, so yeah, there isn't much change there. I can read out what it is. Visual changes made to the VK's 72.01K to the turret. The AMX 1375 has fixed an issue with the earning elite status on it, so that's good. Then we have the T50 fixed an error with the display of the stock and top engines. Changes made to sound effects. They didn't specify what sound effect or how or what or why or whom. So, no clue. And fixed icons for the top 12 and top 3 in ranked battles. Personalized results tab. Fixed an issue with automatic resupply, which caused the feature to not work, even with sufficient credits available. And fixed a display with changing chevron ranks in ranked battles. Display issue. Okay. So that is that. I just had a comment on a video from Raphael. Can you do a review of the new German heavy line? I'm wondering if there's any point in going through the Tiger 2 one. So, let's take a look here, because it's easier to do it on a test server than me having to grind out everything on a live server, because as you can see, I would have to start at tier 4. Excuse me, tier 3. Yeah, I don't even own the tier 3 for that line. Yeah. Is there any other way to get into that line? Yeah, I could go through there, but I really don't want to get that thing. Screw that. So I don't have too much time today, so I can't really make this into a long video, so let's just get going here. The new line, what is it about? Well, I'm going to assume that you're talking about the new line, this one or this one? I'm guessing this one. I'm guessing that one. This one well, it's new to me, but I think this one has been out for like 2 patches now. This, of course, being the old line, and then this is the new line here. So let's take a look. I honestly, in all honesty, I don't know too much about it, but we'll take a look and I'll just do my best estimated guess based on what I know. Okay, so we'll be right back once I get everything researched. Okay. And here we are. First, let's take a look at the comparison here between basically the 3 tier 8 heavy tanks now. Wow, this is crazy. 3 tier 8 heavy lines? Holy crap-a-rooney. So, let's take a look. They're all configured to be top equipment, but nothing else really. No crew or anything, so this should give you a pretty good idea. So, let's take a look. So, this is going to be your heavy line, right? This is going to be your armor, it's going to be the slowest, it's going to be, you know, your city fighter. And then these two, I think, are relatively equal in just some ways. They're both going to be, this is guessing, like guess based on stats. Well, let's just go through here. We'll see if I'm right. I'm just not going to say it yet. So average damage is the best on the Tiger 2 per shot with that final gun there. Doing quite a bit more damage, but you do suffer a little bit from it. Wait, oh, that's added up. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so the VK is the top damaging here. 320, 320, these, I do believe they rock the same gun, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same gun. No, actually not quite. Penetration is the lowest on the VK, so you're going to be a bit behind there on penetration. No stun, of course. Rate of fire is the lowest on the VK, not the lowest, is the second lowest on the VK as well. VK 45, I should say, and VK 100 being the absolute slowest. So this is your slow ass moving, heavily armored, slow gun kind of behemoth, more of a tank rather than fast firing. Your target 2 is more of going to be the slightly more mobile, and I'm guessing the VK is going to be relatively in between the two. That would be my guess of how this is going to play out, but we'll go through the rest here. Turret Traverse is the best on target 2, second the VK 45, and last the VK 100, no surprise there. And gun depression, -8 on all of them, 30 elevation on this one. Wow, that's a lot more elevation than the rest. Okay, that's pretty good. It's good to have. Aiming speed is going to be the fastest on the VK45. That is actually nice to have, so a bit better at snapshots. Dispersion is the second best. The best one is the Tiger 2 at 0.29. When did I get that accurate? That's pretty sweet. Damage per minute, let's take a look here. It is 1980 for the VK45, it is 1800 for the VK100, and 2188 for the Tiger 2. So Tiger 2 wins the DPM. The VK45, like I said, it seems to be just very average and in the middle in a lot of things, and just not quite as good as the VK in terms of raw power and armor. We'll get that in a second. And mobility, probably not as good either. It's just, actually mobility might be better now I'm looking at it, but we'll get back. We'll do the conclusion at the end, then halfway through. So armor-wise, unsurprisingly, the VK100 wins that hands down in every single way. Armor profile of these seems to be very similar. I mean, they're very similar looking tanks, so, you know, the turret is more forward, so you have less of the flat area on the front here, but other than that, it is fairly similar. So, let's go on to the mobility here. Weight is by far the lowest on the VK, so we do get that, which is probably going to be best here. Engine power is going to be the most on the VK, but it needs it to even get up to any sort of power, speed, movement, because specific power is going to suck due to that weight. This thing is heavy, 120, that's double what this one weighs, that's twice. Holy crap-rooney. And the Target 2 is in the middle. So when we get to specific horsepower, you see that this one is by far the best, and the top speed will reflect that as well. Top speed is the same as the Target 2, but this thing will get to that top speed a hell of a lot quicker, and also has a better reverse speed, which is always nice to have. Turning is actually slightly, ever so slightly better on the Target 2, surprisingly. Now, do I have... Ew, wait. Let's set that to 100% crew. This one does have configured things on there. Let's actually take that out. There we go. We should go through this again real quick, especially these kind of numbers here. Rate of fire is the best on the VK. Now they're all stock crew, no equipment. Sorry about that. Reload time, and yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, that the gun handling on this one is probably going to be better stock, and it is ever so slightly. Turret reverse is still better on the Target 2 there. Gun depression doesn't change, obviously. Aiming time is the best on the VK. Accuracy at 0.3 is still the best though on the Target 2. I knocked off 0.01 with my thingamajiggies on there. DPM is actually the best on the VK. This is kind of more what I was expecting to see. Armor is still, of course, going to be the VK because crew doesn't change anything there. Weight doesn't change. Specific horsepower, as you can see, still 14, massively better. That didn't really change. The traverse speed is actually the same now, and I don't have specific crew on there. So, concealment factor. The Target 2 is surprisingly better. I did not expect that. I would assume this one is slightly smaller by the looks of it. It would actually be better, but I guess not. That is very interesting. View range is better on the VK100, and they all have the same radio, so the same radio range. So that was it for the tier 8s. Let me get the tier 9s lined up, and we'll go over those as well. And here we are. Well, I haven't looked at this, but my guess would be at this tier that they're going to be a lot closer to each other at tier 9, because the armor is going to get buffed on all of them, so they should be fairly similar in armor. And yeah, let's take a look. Now, one note, I did mount the 12cm gun on all of these just to have a good equal comparison. So, as you can see here, the average damage is the same and the penetration is the same because it's the same gun on all of them. I figured that way it would give us a better overview. So that will actually give the motion. I think motion. The highest rate of fire here, and the best reload, of course, with it. 14.38 is still long though, but I personally would use the 10cm gun rather than a 12. I'm not a huge fan of long reloads, long aim time, so I personally wouldn't do that. But yeah, let's continue down here. Turret traverse is the same on the VK45 as well as the E75. By the way, we have the VK4502B, the motion, and the E75, in case you're wondering. So that's the same, it's a little bit slower on that thing. Depression is actually, this is where things get a bit, Depression on this thing is only -5, it's not great. Elevation is fantastic on these. This thing, wow, these things can shoot planes out of here. 25 degrees up and -8 down. E75 can always do, also do -8. Okay, aim time is the best on the motion. Not by a whole lot, but is a bit better. The VK is starting to lag behind, where at the previous tier we saw that the gun handling on this line, new line, was better. It seems to have sort of fallen over to the middle and towards the E75 side. That's a bit strange. Survivability, hit points on the motion is the highest out of the two, and those two are equal. Once we get to the armor layout, no surprise here that the motion line has the most armor, but once we look at this, we do see that we have 200 frontal armor here, which is actually on par, surprisingly, and the turret armor is actually 265, and it's a fairly slow turret for the rest of it. So the turret armor, 160 on the side, 160 on the rear. This turret is quite armored. So what I'm thinking is that this thing is going to be as good as the E75 in side scraping, and actually going to be better because rear mounted turret, which will make it easier to angle your tank better and bounce more shells. Rear mounted turrets are always better for side scraping, in case you're wondering. That's why these tanks always make such great side scrapers as well. So yeah, we're starting to see a pattern here that the E75 line was the slightly better line on the previous one, but now it's starting to sort of draw it back into the VK4502B here in terms of city fighting. Now, for all-round mobility and movement and just all-round fighting, probably the E75 is still going to win. A lot of talking, need more coffee. Engine horsepower is the most on the motion here, no surprise. Weight, yeah, the kind of no surprise again here. E75 is the middle, motion is the heaviest, and the VK is the lightest. Engine horsepower sort of reflects that. Specific power is again the best on the VK. Hey, now I can actually say VK. Woohoo! Top speed, however, is the best on the E75. Mobility is pulling back towards the E75. Reverse speed is the same in all of them. There's not too much between specific power, but this thing will reach its top speed quicker, but it's only 30. So you do want to keep that in mind. Traverse speed here, mobility-wise, for turning your tank around is much better on the E75. 11 degrees better almost. That's quite a lot. So once we get to concealment, that is won by the VK by quite a margin. That's a pretty hefty amount of change there. View range is equal on all of them. Same tier tanks, it often is. Now why? Either I didn't upgrade the radio. Wait, okay. I didn't get the FUG 12. There we go, that makes more sense. I was like, how is that? So that's all the same. So once you get to this tier, it's a bit of a toss-up between what do you want. E75 is not going to be as strong frontally. This thing is much more a city fighter. And it's basically, you should see it as a lightweight motion, where you just have that tad more mobility, but you still have that fantastic armor. Not as good once you get to the side and rear of the motion. So this thing is definitely still the king and ruler of the armor, but once we get to turret armor, this thing is pretty hefty. So city fighting, and E75 is more of your overall will do better on any kind of map. So that's sort of where these lines pull apart. The motion is a dedicated city fighter and close quarters fighter and will not do too well on an open field, where the E75 can get up to that speed, can get that ram going. You know, the E75 is more of a mobile heavy, where the VK is more of the sort of in between the motion and the E75. So you should sort of see this as mobility, slightly less mobile, more armor. That's sort of the direction this is heading. So let's take a look at the tier 10s and compare those. And here we are. Let's take a look at the tier 10. Wow, this design was stolen from the British. Holy crap, this thing is just a British tank. Are you kidding me? Like, even the color. Superior development company project will discontinue in favor of more heavy tanks, no more vehicles ever manufactured. This thing just looks British. Are you kidding me? I mean, yes, it has a trademark like German-esque machine gun turret in there, but overall, I swear this thing looked British. Oh man, that is bizarre. So, let's take a look back at the comparison here. So, average damage is going to go to the E100. It has a Top Gun mounted, quite a bit more damage. So, this is where things get interesting and sort of flip around again. Best penetration is found on the Panzerkampfwagen 7 here. That really rolls off the tongue. It's such a lovely name. But the top damage goes to the E100. Rate of fire goes to the mouse. I don't think I've ever been able to say that. The rate of fire is won by the mouse. What? Reload time. Mouse got buffed, by the way, in case you're wondering. A couple of patches back. 2 patches, I do believe, back. Maybe 3 by now, including this one then. Something like that. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so rate of fire of 11 versus 15 and 19. Sorry, reload time, not rate of fire. I wish. Reload time. So E100, but again, has a massive amount of damage per shot, so it's not really a surprise. So, turret traverse is won by the E100. This thing is slow. 15 for something that looks like it doesn't have that big of a turret. It should swing around a hell of a lot faster than 15. That's terrible. I mean, it's a heavy tank, but still. Holy crap. Excuse me, 18. 15 is reload. 18, excuse me. Still, I mean, if you look at it, this can swing around faster than that. How? Anywho, 7 degrees, and 8 degrees depression, so the mouse wins on depression. 24 degrees elevation, which seems to be standard on this line. Seems to be the best elevation possible. 20 elevation, not bad. 7, not terrible. Not fantastic, but definitely not terrible. Rear mounted, you would think that this one could do more, but the mouse actually has better, which is surprising since the turret is mounted more towards the back. Aiming time goes towards the mouse with just over 2 seconds. Second is the Panzerkampfwagen 7, and third is the E100. Now, once we get to accuracy, these two are actually on par, as you can see, surprisingly. Average damage per minute goes to the mouse. Yep, that is due to the buff that I got recently. Survivability, unsurprisingly, the mouse wins that hands down. The Panzerkampfwagen is actually the weakest out of the bunch, but does get the highest amount of hull armor. Yep, that thing is gonna be very, very tough. So, I don't know, what really is the use case of this tank? Well, it does get a lot of armor, and it seems to all around be pretty good for mobility. So you get the armor almost of the mouse, not quite. It's not going to be the same armor layout, and it definitely suffers in the turret department compared to the mouse. so it's not going to be as armored by far. But it does pretty well. Like, it has pretty good all-round armor, and you get a decent amount of weight. It's still 120 tons. This thing ain't light, but specific power of 10, top speed of 33 versus 20 and 30, so it's pretty good. Same reverse speed. Traverse of 25 for something as heavy as that. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. How much horsepower engine was in here? 1200. Yeah. So concealment, not bad for a heavy. And then this is all gonna be the same. So, what is this new line about? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I don't really get why this line was introduced. I know that they want to introduce more tanks, but is it really that much different from the rest? They're slightly faster. They seem to have, depending on which of the three, semi-better gun handling, but not quite. It doesn't win in the damage department. It usually doesn't win in the accuracy department. Sometimes in the rate of fire, but overall, this seems to be pretty on par with the rest. And the only thing is that the mobility is better on the tier 10 versus the two behemoths. But other than that, it doesn't seem to be that much special. So, should you really drop any of the other lines that you were working on? It depends on what you want to do. To me, the E100 doesn't seem like a fun tank. The E75 does, that's why I was working towards it, but that's where I was going to stop. The mouse seems like a much better tank now. With all the buffs that it got, the mobility and everything, much better. The Panzerkampfwagen, I don't really see much use to it in the game. It doesn't have the highest anything. It doesn't have, the best armor. It doesn't have the best mobility. The armor isn't terrible. Like, the frontal armor is going to be quite good. But other than that, it might be good at side scraping, but I'm wondering if this is going to be a weak spot if you side scrape, because this is rounded. It will always have a technically flat surface towards you, a perpendicular angle. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a weak spot or not. If it is, like, I haven't looked at the armor model, and I don't think we have that in here, do we? Armor model viewer? No. Unless I don't know about it. Crew layout. Okay. So, if this is indeed a weak spot and you can go through here with like 250 pen or so, then the complete argument of side scraping with this thing with a rear mounted turret is going to be negated, because it's going to get penned over here, because side scraping you're going to do like this, and then you're creating a weak spot. If that is the case. I don't know. That's just an if. Not quite sure why these are here. Oh, they're just to hold up these plates. Okay, I see. They kind of look like mud guards, splash guards, but no, they're definitely not. They're just to hold up the track covers here. So yeah, in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what the use is for this tank. I get that it's just a different tank, but given the other tanks that are already in the game, I guess this one is slightly... This is more of a... sort of, don't get me wrong, but sort of E75, but pulled to tier 10. Now, of course, completely different design, but the E75 is more of the slightly more all-rounded, and I feel like that is what this tank is. So, this is not the biggest armor, it is not the biggest gun, it is sort of the all-rounder of tier 10. So I guess it fits in the middle, sort of, or a slightly different spectrum, but that's kind of weird, because leading up to it, it's not quite the armored, it's more of the more mobility focused, semi-mobility focused, and it just, I don't know, this line, it puzzles me. It swings around a couple of times. No, I'm ranting here. I'm trying to make sense of this line, and I really can't. Like, I really don't see a point of including this in the game. I guess it's slightly different, and it will play slightly different, but other than that, until I can maybe look at the armor profile and see if there's like a distinct lack of weak spots, but there is a turret on top, or a hatch on top here. A turret on top, yeah, that too. There is a hatch on top. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, other than that, it is rounded, so that will help deflect more shells because it's not actually a flat surface. These are slightly sloped as well, so I guess from the side you still have a pretty big flat spot to shoot in. I don't know. Not sure what the use is of these. if you have played around with it. Sadly, I'm out of time. I have to get this video done and rendered. I have to leave in half an hour. Not even sure if I'm gonna get this done, so I have to go now. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.